Okay, so it's recording. This will save our conversation on my local hard disk, and later on I'll upload this onto YouTube and have a channel so people can watch these videos and have a good laugh. So
Yeah.
And I'll keep the meeting minutes. So in order to record what we did, we really have to, I have to be, because I'm the secretary, I'll have to be really consistent in taking meeting minutes. So that's how I'll do as the secretary. Yep. And yeah. So, okay. And sorry, I just keep. So ideally we'll have a website, and that's just one of the things I imagine. It depends on what future roles we'll have for this. But we have a website, and then we post all the information what has happened onto the website. So if people are interested in the project, they can just read about it, and if they decide to join, they just see all the organizational structure, see where I fit in. Hey, can work together? That saves everyone time. So that's the ideal case scenario for open source project. So,
yes, I like that. Yeah.
I like that. Oh, cool. Okay, cool. Nice.
Okay, so we're having a governance meeting today, or this is freestyle meeting?
Actually, if it's freestyle, I just you go with the freestyle. You're the facilitator, so you run the meeting. So sorry for taking over at the beginning, but it's all yours. However you want to do it, there's no structure, or it's you guide.
Okay, yeah, no, I just confirming. So okay, so we'll have a freestyle meeting today, and then tomorrow. Let's see, what do you want to do? Because normally today would be a normal meeting, but but we swapped it. So so freestyle meeting today, and then what? Freestyle meeting again tomorrow, and then Friday.
Oh no, we swap with what they do in China. They swap those holidays so people don't.
Okay, so tomorrow we'll have a normal meeting then.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Oh, I see a little thing here is flashing. It says recording, so that's the Zoom feature.
Yeah, it's saving to my hard disk.
Okay. All right, and you're taking notes in the minutes.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so I have a bunch of things to just to bring up.
Yep.
So yeah, mostly these are just random ideas. So one of the things is the importance of telling a story. So I think this is probably more important for us because we're doing something a little bit different from a typical business. So if you have, if you open a restaurant, you don't really need to tell a very complicated story unless it's like Ultraviolet or some sort of restaurant like that. But if it's a normal restaurant, you sell normal food for normal prices, then you can kind of say, hey, I'm opening a restaurant. People immediately understand. It's like, oh, okay, you have a chef, you have some, vegetables that you buy at the market in the morning and meat, and then you turn it into food and then people pay you for it. It's very straightforward. So with this, it's like, we're doing something that nobody understands right at that level. So it's not a restaurant. So it's not even like, software as a service or something like, a consulting company, or it doesn't really fall into any category. So it's like something that is a mystery. So I think I think from my perspective, the reason why people will want to be invested in this project is because of a story that we can tell them. So I think that it's something that we can look forwards into the future and see, you know, where is this going. So yeah. So the other thing that I just thought I would mention is that it occurs to me that one of the things that we're doing is a little bit like you know, if you do an ICO, you sort of like you create some new digital product and then people can buy it and you get money for that, and then that funds your development. And what we're doing here is sort of like we are creating the digital product but not getting any of the money. So we're doing basically an ICO without the ICO. So it's like,
yeah,
we're going to do the work of creating something like that, but not do the part where you sell it. So that occurs to me as just, I realized when I was standing outside looking at the sky, I was like, oh, this is like an ICO.
yeah. Okay, I'm just writing down what you just said as agenda items.
Okay. So then another thing I wanted to share, this another idea that I had while I was looking at the sky is that there is a kind of there's a motivation that a lot of people have to do some sort of charity work. So a lot of people want to you know, to feed the homeless, for example. So it occurs to me that this is somewhere where Actiom could play a role. So, and it also occurs to me that this is a way that maybe Actiom could become a kind of an active player in the world in changing people's behavior. So, you know, if somebody wants to go and like feed the homeless, for example, they could use Actiom in some way to do that, but it would have to be a little bit different, because we're going to have, you know, maybe we have a system that requires a certain amount of technology to interact with, and if you're doing something like feeding the homeless, they don't have any of the technology, so they won't be able to interact with the system. And they're also shut out from things like you know, maybe the governmental systems that exist as well. So they might not have you know, government ID. They might not have access to banking or credit or anything. And of course, they're probably not necessarily online, so they might, you know, they might not even be. They probably don't have an iPhone. They might not have any sort of internet access at all. So if we are reaching those people, I think the idea of it is that, you know, by virtue of being alive, they are entitled to a certain amount of action every day, just like every other person. But because of their situation, and this could also apply to people maybe who are not homeless, but people who are living in a country where they just don't have internet access or something like that, or they don't have electricity. So because of that situation, maybe they cannot participate in the way that you or I would. So there's still a way that we could maybe use like a personal connection. If you know someone, you see someone, maybe you can sort of, you know, have a way that people can sort of use Actiom, even though they are not directly connected to the network, as it were. So this is something that I was thinking about. Also, I'm thinking about the connection between this and like universal basic income, because universal basic income is something that a lot of people are very excited about right now, and trying to make it happen in various parts of the world.
Yeah.
So this is has a lot in common with that, because we're basically giving people something every day.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit different from that, because I mean, what we're giving them obviously is not money, so it's not actually an income, but it is something. So then that was what led me to think about, well, what do people really need, and who would this be most valuable to? So although for you or I, it might be something that is kind of something that we use maybe to record or to store our appreciation for something that we got for free, but maybe without doing it in a monetary way. But for people that are lacking basic necessities, if we could say, you know, here's something that we're giving you that you get a supply of it every day, and then they would want to think, well, can I use this for my basic necessities? So they will start to ask themselves, you know, is this something that I can use to buy clothes or food or something like that?
Yeah.
So if you were trying to collect Actiom, a good way to do that might be to go out and maybe say, hey, you know, I'm starting a kind of like an Actiom charity, and you go to people and say, you know, I'm looking for donations of like food and clothes, or, you know, money that I can use to buy food. And then I'm going to go to the grocery store and buy food, and open like a big soup kitchen and prepare a lot of food, and then invite people in to eat. And then I'm going to get, you know, tons of Actiom from that. So this would be kind of like a bridge between charity and Actiom. But then what that would mean is that people would be coming in and they would say, oh, well, you know, I don't have a cell phone, I don't have an internet connection or something like that. So we would have to say, well, you know, here, we'll get you set up with an Actiom account, and here's how we can do it, even though you don't, maybe you don't have anything. So that would be a different kind of way of interacting.
Yeah.
And then another thing that was very interesting to me about this is the question of fame, and how the distribution of Actiom will relate to certain people being very famous. So if someone writes a novel or a book that's a bestseller, and, you know, millions of people buy it, then they get lots of money and they become famous and they're well known, and then maybe at the same time they also get lots of Actiom, because lots of people read their book. So maybe lots of people, you know, pirate the book too. So so in the same time, they're like the people who are really successful and get a lot of money from society are also maybe going to get a lot of Actiom. So maybe in that way, it's like it's just recreating this sort of imbalance that is already there, the inequality that is already there in society. But some people maybe get very famous, while other people, nobody ever hears of them. So that's something that just something that I noticed. It's not something that I have any particular opinion about. Yeah. So these are my thoughts. And then the other thing that I'm thinking about, I wanted to hear more about what you mentioned before about maybe having partnerships with like Steemit and Singular UTV and maybe some others. So I'm thinking about revenue, which is way in the future. For me, it's hard to see how this project will make money. So that's why I'm wondering. Still. You fell off your bicycle?
Yeah. I wasn't. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't like. I was accelerating on my bicycle, and my ankle just gave in, so it fell soft, and yeah, I lost balance and fell off. I wasn't living the moment. I was watching YouTube videos all afternoon about this psychology stuff. So I was just like, thinking, it's good to live in the moment. So.
Yes. So it brought you back to reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about how the project can make money. So I would like to hear your ideas about partnerships and how that would work. And then also thinking about other things like this idea of doing charity work. If we're doing something like that, then I think maybe there would be some chance to collaborate maybe with people who are interested in doing some sort of basic income experiments, and maybe we could combine them in that way. So that would be another way to another reason why people might want to fund the project. Although it would not be maybe for making a profit in that case, it would be maybe more of a kind of like a charity.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's basically my thoughts. I'll probably come up with other things that I forgot to write down, but
I've captured them on the Google Doc.
Okay.
See if this is good.
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess any thoughts that you have in response to that, I'm interested in, and
yeah. Okay. I have a lot of thoughts about this. So
good.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. It's great that you bring them up, and we're video recording this.
Yes.
So, we don't have to repeat ourselves. Just point to that video and go watch that video. But anyways,
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, there are several things you capture. Which one would you like to?
Oh yeah, up to you. Whatever you.
Okay, up to me. Okay.
However you'd like to go.
Okay, so I'll just go through them in the order that you mentioned. So the first, the importance of telling a story for a side action. Yes, I think this is what we're missing. So this is what we need. And let me add it to my assignment so I'll think more about this. Because I was talking to Ken yesterday, so my teacher. So and he did selling. He did a lot of selling, and he's very good at that. And I think so. The story may be different for different people. It's so we might have to craft a set of stories and hand them out towards the right population group. Yeah, but Let me, I'll think more about this story. How to tell. This is actually related to what you said, the other points that you mentioned. Okay, so I'll set that aside for now because I don't know a good story and I have to work on this. And second point is that we're doing ICO without doing ICO. Yeah, that's right. It's like the way the governance is structured. It's a continuous ICO. So it's it's not like we are raising money when the ICO market is super hot, and then we take that pile of ETH and then that's one way to do it, and people have done it very successfully, and and they're very smart people. But I guess for this project, it resembles traditional rounds, but there's a distinction. So with stocks, people have voting rights, right? With stocks, so people raise money, they get stocks. But with Action, the Action tokens, there are two kinds. It separates the revenue earning potential from the stocks from its like voting rights. So these two are separate. So it's like people can invest into the project throughout the project's lifetime, and it makes sense. It makes sense that the people that invest early, they get a better deal than people who invest late when the risk when at the early stage it's riskier for the project, and so it could be that every dollar that we invest now, it may be worth 1.2 or 1.4 or 1.8 dollars later on. So we have to figure out the attenuation along the way, depending on how well the project goes. So that's one thing about the voting rights and what's it called, revenue earning potential. So all the investments into Action, whether they're like taken from our salary or direct capital investment, they all have the right to revenue. So if $1 comes in to the project, then it depends on how each one has invested. He will get a proportional share from that. But only those people that work directly in the organization, they have the voting rights. So this really separates our stockholders from people that work on the project, because we have set up traditional organization in such a way that stockholders they have the say. So everything is geared towards money making.
Yes.
This makes sense in the traditional sense because money is that's like the most important metric to measure success, right? So that's why we need to make money. But Action is different. So it should earn money to support itself, but at the same time, it's like spreading some karma. So we can't just focus on the money part. So
yes.
So and. God, I'm super conscious because people might come back and watch this video. So I'm a little bit okay. So and the assumption that I make is that for those that work directly on our project or on something, for example, if we build our house, then we tend to like the house more than we just buy the house, right? So it's the same thing with the project. So the basic assumption we're making is that those people that join us, like they go through all this trouble, read about what we do, understand how we work. They go through all that trouble, join us. They are probably gonna work here because they share the same kind of purpose or vision, as we do. So that's the basic assumption why we are giving those people that work directly on the project the chance to invest in the project and have a voice or voting power. So. Yeah, so that's the basic assumption. Maybe that will break down in the future, but I think that's a better assumption right now. Okay, so that's the ICO part. Yeah. So later on, so I've talked to. I think money will have funding because I talked to Ken. He mentioned someone else may also want to invest in something. So I feel like money isn't the main issue. here, although it is an issue. So when we said the project has 6 months of runway, I feel like that's very flexible. I feel like 6 months we can already make a lot of things happen. So if we need money, I'll find money. So
okay, I think the question that I have about that is from the investor's perspective, and I guess my question about that is more about revenue, or like basically if the project is sustaining itself in the future. So I think there are many different ways that could happen, but I don't know what is the best. So what do you think about that?
Okay, so to understand the revenue, I have to go through. We'll have to talk about how Actiom fits into the society first, because that's where it generates revenue. That's how it generates revenue. So, okay, I'm going to say this because the Actiom business model is not a data. It's not really a data-driven business model, because Facebook, Google, and all the technology firms, they use data, and Mobac and CFO with OBAC, they sell data, they collect data and sell data. But with decentralization, it makes no sense to do that because it's a public blockchain. Everyone can see the data. So that model won't work. It just doesn't work. And we have to really understand what decentralization is about. Decentralization is about, its essence is about getting the power from the big entities that we create as human beings, like the set of entities we create as human beings, and say the individuals that make up entity is more valuable than the entity itself. So that's what it's all saying, right? So how the Actiom project resonates with that idea by saying each individual is equal, and each individual has value, and they have more value than the organizations that they create as a collective entity. So so that's the idea. So
so how does the organization, how does the entity make money? That's the question.
Right. So it's not a data-driven business model. It's more a usage-driven business model. And so when will people use Actiom? It's only when people feel that they are experiencing their life to its fullest. When they feel they are getting something, when they feel like happy, enlightened, then they start to appreciate this world they are brought into, and that's when people will use Actiom, and that's when it will get its money. So it will generate revenue. And how does that happen? It's tied to it's tied to what you said about helping the homeless, because how can I express this? It's wait, please give me a minute to collect my thoughts. Okay. Okay, it may be difficult to explain this on like a global scale because we have so many people. It's a complex problem. If we have like a Google interview, they give like interview questions, then one of the strategies is how to boil that complex system into a simple system. So I think, as we discussed before, we have to build a system from scratch actually to understand how it works on a large scale. It's like physics, they look at the very small to understand the very big, and the patterns they repeat actually. So we have to imagine that the universe, the world is just Michael, you, and me, and we are living this world, and everything around us is all there is, like my room, your room. That's all there is that exists in this world. So we are simplifying this universe, right, into its very beginning. So in this world, we have to kind of communicate and work with each other. And in order to do that, we need to come into some form of consensus. We have to agree on something that we both understand. Right? Otherwise, there's no way for us to communicate. We don't know each other's existence. So language is one thing. We can use language to build on concepts and ideas. And then with language, then we start to see objects, like we see objects, books, and tables, and laptops and stuff. And then comes the problem of how do we organize among ourselves? Like there's you and there's me. Like there are many worldviews on how to organize ourselves, right? So because there are two people, and these are the possibilities. First, we're equal human beings, right? So this is one worldview. Another is like you are superior and I'm inferior, and a third is like I'm inferior or you're superior. Yeah. So and if we come up with a consensus that you and me, we as human beings, we can own stuff. We can own our surroundings. Like you own your books and tables and stuff. If we agree on that consensus, and then it naturally follows that, if you have more physical strength, then you are superior than I am, because because it's physical strength is what we agreed on, and you will start to own more stuff, and we also agree on the fact that we can own stuff. So you own more and more, and based on your physical strength. But that's just one way of looking at the world that we live in, right? It's strength, ownership, but it doesn't mean that we work as a team. It's the most effective way for us to work. It's just like energy. It's the minimum energy required to think about everything else. It's like we're resting in this energy state, and if we agree on these consensuses. So your work's great, but the world is not just you and me, but if we agree on that, that's what we see as our miniature society. Okay, so that's one way to look at the world, and then comes then if we really think about this arrangement, we ask ourselves, so how do we make our teamwork more effective, or how do we improve this configuration, right? So we look at our existing consensus, like ownership, and we say that model works well. We know how to distribute wealth among us. We know who owns what. That simplifies life. How about what if we introduce another consensus that we can use so that it can help both of us feel more alive, have a better life? And what if we agree that our lives are equal in the sense that the time we experience in this world is of equal value? So that's an interpretation of equality. It doesn't say we are equal, because by saying we are equal, you have your way of saying what equality means. I have my way of saying what equality means. This is a definition of equality, saying the time we experience actively, measured by a clock in this world, is of equal value. So if we agree on that, and we suddenly start to realize, oh God, I'm living a really miserable life here. Michael Jordan is like superior than I am. He is. We have this relationship, master and slave relationship. But and you probably feel like, oh my God, why do I have to do everything? This slave, why isn't he getting smarter? You also feel like a drag. So, but if we agree that our life experiences are of equal value, then this thing will happen. In order to be score higher in that system, what you will naturally do, you will try to help me to see more things. Suppose you have all the wealth and I have nothing, then the easiest way to make me happy and help me enjoy my life is probably just lend me one of your books. So it's and if I feel like, oh, Michael has lent me one of that books, and if we agree that people can own stuff, and if we agree that we can send each other our action marks to mark how we experience this world with our time, measured by our time, then you will start to earn my action marks. So you will score higher both in the action mark system, and I will also get what I want. So it's like some kind of material abundance. So. Okay. If that happens, this two people system then start to work better than just this simple consensus on ownership. You know, so that's the basic idea. Yeah, it's
okay. So I have a question about that. A challenge.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So if I have all the books, then the question is, why would I join? Why would I participate in that consensus? In other words, if I already have the books and you don't, then what is my motivation for saying, I'm interested in collecting Actiom?
Yeah, I can't say for you, because you know, you as a human being, you have your like own reason. If I were you, if I had all the books and you had nothing, I would probably be pretty bored. It's like, oh my God, I have beaten this game. I'm like at level 99. What's next? You know, it's like, it is the world that is. It is the finite world, but apparently it's not. You know, there are other planets, there are other galaxies, other universes out there. I'm like stuck on this Earth, and this human civilization is moving really slowly. And I'm like, I can do everything. I can fly. I drive Ferrari, Lamborghini, you know, I do all this. I have my own submarine. It's kind of boring. I kind of want to explore something else, and I can't do that without the society being more effective to kind of propel us forward. And also, if I own everything, I'll probably think for my children, like, okay, so I have everything. They'll probably have everything, but if I give all my wealth to them, it's like, it's definitely their growth. They are not really having this confidence to explore yet. Maybe they do. Maybe I've brought them up very well. But how about my grandson? So it's like a dynasty thing. You know, how do we kind of design the system so that it ensures maximum, I don't know, enlightenment or happiness for my generations? And actually, you know, even if I'm at the top of the pyramid, it makes it's still so much maintenance, because if I have my children, I don't like, they just go off and do whatever that they feel like most fulfills themselves. You know, it's very subtle. Yeah, but if you are fully ingrained, if one is fully ingrained into the system, like saying, oh, money is the king, cash, you know, is everything, then there's no way to convince. I don't know how to convince you. It's and if you really like this configuration, then this configuration will probably persist. It's like the dinosaurs. You know, they reached a certain equilibrium with Earth, but they start to kind of evolve in the intelligence sector. So, you know, and later on, some kind of external force will kind of prod, hey guys, it's not everything that you know about the universe. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I guess, like from my perspective, if I look at the motivations that people have for doing something, like you know, there's Maslow's hierarchy. So there's things on the bottom, like physiological needs, like food and shelter.
Yeah.
So, you know, if people don't have those, then they will do whatever they need to get them. They will like go out in the street and start setting cars on fire. They will do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And then the next one is like safety. So if people have that, but they think maybe next week it's going to be taken away from them, then they will go out in the street and set cars on fire again.
Yeah.
So and then you go up, to the top of the pyramid, which is like, self-actualization. So if you look at like basic needs, it's very easy to motivate people if you are meeting one of their basic needs. So or more evil way is if you are pretending to meet a basic need or promising to meet a basic need. But if there's that hook, then you'll get people's attention. So
I'll get some water real quick.
Okay.
Hmm.
So people's basic physiological needs. This is a good way to get people's attention. It's biology, and then because of the way our society is structured, like we have the importance of money, the things that we were just talking about, ownership. So because people are already invested into that system, if you say, if you promise people future riches, then you can get them to give you something now. So people will actually spend money if they think that they're going to get a lot more in the future. So you can appeal to people's greed, and that's a very powerful way to motivate people. And then there are humanitarian concerns. So people, perhaps because of their humanity, they wish to see other people prosper. So some people are motivated to do something out of that desire to help other people. So it could be a love of their species, or it could be empathy, or it could be a desire to do good, or some sort of higher spiritual motivation. So those are all ways that you can sort of motivate people. So if you're doing something like this, then we are asking people to to take some action. We're asking them to join this, to participate in this system. So the question is, what is it that is going to grab people, that is going to make them to participate in this? Now, what you are describing, I think, is like you said, that we have an existing consensus, and then we have a kind of a new consensus. So if people are participating in the new consensus, I think that's it seems to me like it's an abstract idea that people can maybe they can see that this is a way for society to operate that's different from the way society operates now, and then they can choose to participate in on that basis. But that is a much more difficult way to motivate people than appealing to something more basic. So that's why, opening a restaurant again, you're providing people with food, which everybody needs, and everybody who's alive knows that they need food. So if you are doing something like, we're constructing a new consensus, then it's hard for people to be motivated to join that, especially when the consensus is kind of in conflict with the current social consensus and the current system.
Okay.
So my question is, how do you see people getting motivated at the beginning to participate in the system? What is the hook? What is the thing that will grab them? Okay. And I don't know if it's something that you have an answer for yet or not.
I don't have 100% answer for, because I have a set of assumptions, but I haven't tested them. So it's
okay.
Yeah. So I need to test these assumptions. But my assumptions are, my assumptions are. You probably know this curve of adoption, right? So it's like that, and it tails off. So we're really at the very, very, very early stage. And if we look at Tesla, they didn't build electric vehicles for the masses, for the population. They built electric vehicles for as sports car for the very top, and they focus on some very particular benefits for their sport vehicle. And they didn't advertise the handling of the Tesla X, but rather they really focus on the acceleration, because that's what it excels. So when we promote action, because everyone right now want to build a killer Ethereum app for the masses, and no, we lack the resources, and I think that's not the way to really look at it. It's not, we're not going in to make a killer app to build the next Facebook or Google to dominate the space. We'll take a different philosophy. We'll just, like, because I'm doing this project out of, well, yes, to earn a living, but more it's like, what's the best way to build it, and the best way, the natural way, the logical way, or the way that feels good is to build it bit by bit. So the first customer segment that I will likely approach are the ones that are already contributing to the society, and they, in the hierarchy of needs, they are not at the bottom here. So they are more like at the top. So it's really, once we build a prototype, we'll likely approach these people first. And, hey, here's an action, I would like to upvote you, and he'll say, what is it? It's not money, right? So it's, why would I want to use it? But, but if we talk to them, it's gonna be still a lot easier than if we talk to the people at the bottom of the hierarchy, because they just wouldn't even listen. But to those people, they probably already have a good living, so it's easier to share ideas and to see how to express this idea. And my assumption is that we just have to try, and we'll be able to figure out how to sell to these people. And once they kind of see the picture, they will likely tell their immediate friends about it, and to use action to upvote. And then comes the next segment, customer segment. Then we'll be able to figure out how to change our marketing message. So it's an iterative process. It's yeah. And I talked to Ken yesterday, and he said it's the same thing. So it's like, it depends on the different group of people that we're talking to. The message is going to be different. So and that's why I feel like, it is a marketing. It's really exciting. It's as profound, or it's as difficult as computer science, like coding up something. It's I feel like it's going to be a very interesting journey to figure out how to get to people. So yeah, I think it's possible. It's Facebook did it, and all the other companies did it. So it's yeah. But it's like the initial customers are ourselves. It's how can we make something that we can sell to ourselves. But,
okay. So the motivation then that you would see that the initial users would have to use this, primarily it would be that they want to have a record. Is that right?
So okay, so there are a set of benefits for action. The benefits are it lasts forever, even if, because it's a consensus. It's like the concept of money. Even if a bank goes bankrupt, money still exists. So they'll be the first users to use this new consensus. So that will last forever. That's one of the benefits. Another benefit is, they would just get some imaginary points, like showing the true value, how much people care about them. It's more valuable than upvotes on Facebook. It means more than upvotes on Facebook or Twitter. It's these things people just close their computer. It just, if Facebook or Twitter go out of business, these upvotes, these data also disappear. But action marks, we need to decide how to call these points. It's it will last even if our organization go away. If something happens to us, this kind of consensus, if it works well for our society, someone else will probably keep using it. Yeah, so it's like, unless there's something wrong with the game design. So yeah.
Okay, so upvotes are ephemeral, but this is something that would last.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so if I am giving, if I am spending or assigning my action marks to someone,
Yeah.
Maybe my motive to do that would be to share with that person my gratitude, to show my appreciation, and in a way that is permanent, not in a way that is going to maybe be owned by Facebook. So maybe another point of that could be, for me, like just the fact that the data is public and it's not, it's not controlled by a third party. So it's not going to be like sold. It's not going to be mined. It's not going to be used to deliver advertisement to me or to anyone else. Okay, so
the data is not. We don't really own the data. We're just like.
Yes.
Yeah, we're creating the base data, like the base data for people, for third parties to do analysis and intelligent analysis, right? If people want advertisement, they can. Third party will use it. It's because it indicates our preferences, but in such a way that's actually good because this is all intelligent data processing is about. Is trying to figure out who we are so that we get what we want. And if everyone upvote their action marks in such a way that really express what they feel, it will tell the computer or the system who we really are, so that we'll get good feedback from advertisers, and that will actually save us time because we don't have to go out and look for those things we need. The data matching algorithm will do a better job. Right? But right now, what happens is that people upvote on Facebook because upvote is free, and maybe it's tied to like peer pressure or something, or some random. I don't know. They have to use psychological models to fit our preferences, and these psychological models, it's pretty safe. It's assuming people don't evolve over the long term. But action mark is really, we look inside, figure out what we want, and figure out what's really important to us, because our action marks are limited. We can't just throw them away. So we have to make a conscious choice. And that's a better input. That's a higher quality data, base data, than the data we generate right now. So it's the next step towards big data, I suppose. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so there's a potential. I think there's a potential motive for people to do this, because people do, for example, upvote on Facebook. So if your friend shares something on Facebook and then you see it and you like it, or you just want your friend to know that you saw it, you just upvote it or you like it, and then your friend can see, that they got a lot of likes. Yeah. So maybe they know that content was something that that their friends liked, and maybe they know that people saw it. So maybe that's a reason why, if we make it as easy to use as something like that, which would require some sort of partnerships with some content platforms. But if it was just as simple as clicking a button, then perhaps people would use it in that way. And then we have the difference being that whereas Facebook's data is locked up by Facebook and they can sell it to advertisers, but this data is not. So if of course it's public, so anybody can use it, but everybody has a level playing field for accessing the data.
That's correct.
So if we look at it that way, then it's basically a similar system to upvotes or to likes, and then we have basically a feature. So it's like a feature of existing platforms that we have sort of pulled out and making that feature into a separate product. So then the question from the perspective of business perspective is we've taken that feature, which is like for Facebook, it's a big part of their ability to make money because they get that data and they can have a lock on it. And they can sell it to advertisers, and we're giving that away. So, so we're taking this feature that is like a money-making feature, and we're taking it out. We're taking it out of the other platforms, and we're taking away the ability for it to make any money. And then we're going to, I guess, go back to the platform and say to them, like, you know, we can give you an upvote feature, but it's going to cost you money instead of making it.
Well,
so,
yeah. Well, yes, money. It comes back to the base system, how we design the society to be, because all the designs ultimately they should benefit the people, right? So it's, I mean, money has served us really well for many thousands of years. It's like we wouldn't have the level of collaboration that we have today. Like we wouldn't be talking right now without inventing money. So it's a very well-designed and sophisticated system. But all systems, when they are another, they all break down, like no matter how well designed they are. So it's, and I feel it is the time to start the next iteration, or to improve our existing system, to really figure out the little bug, you know, that existed in the source code, buried very deep in our subconscious mind, so that we can go to the next level, to help more people like reach whatever they want to reach. You know, it's and yes, you know, it sounds really evil that, you know, we're taking this feature out of platforms and going back and say, hey, now if you want to use it, costs money and you're making us rich, right? But if we really think about this, why do all the platforms have this feature, right? Why do all the platforms have this upvote feature? It's because if you think about this, many ancient civilizations, they had their own form of currency. For example, they used shells, they used markings on wood, they used precious metals. They use different forms. It's just like different platforms right now. They use different forms of this new monetary system that we call Actiom. In the past, they used different forms of money, and then they talk to each other and they figure out, oh, actually we want the same thing, but we don't know exactly what's the best way to express it. It's the same thing happens with the existing platforms. They all kind of feel like there's something else that's more valuable than money that they can kind of capture and formulate, and they formulate it as upvotes. And all these different platforms, they have their own reputation system. It's all pointing to the same thing. It's all pointing to decentralization and the new consensus that people's times are of equal value. That lets people upvote stuff, that generates data. It's actually all pointing to this. You know, it's like that's just the natural progression. It's and that will change how people value money in the future as well. That will change how we value possessions in the future. What I'm so it's a digression, beginning of digression. Like it's totally false digression, or really absurd digression. So in the alien movies, I said, you know, we have those little green human beings that look human. They sit on a spaceship, you know. They don't wear any clothes, and you know, they walk out of a spaceship. It's like, so who owns the what? Who is the captain? Who owns those people? You know, who owns the spaceship? They will probably have a different set of belief system or value systems, you know, to distribute and share resources and communicate. And I doubt that they use the same kind of system. Like if we fast forward 1,000 years, and if we still heavily rely on the monetary system and use all the other systems to patch money's bugs, like we need what do you call it? Law, right? We have to have law, otherwise people would just game the system. Society will break apart. Law is actually like a top level bug fix or error handling feature. You know, it's like telling the user, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that, because if you do that will break the bug will get amplified. And we also have a religion that tells people that, money is not everything. We need to focus more on the spiritual life. Like all these systems, they seem to me, they are all trying very hard to battle one of our beliefs or consensus, which is money and ownership, right? So it's like, why can't we just do it more effectively? Invent a new consensus that people can use every day. It's more elegant and it costs less resource. It frees up people time, and we are already kind of wanted. Everyone is already wanted. We just don't know how to formulate it. And there it is. Let's try this consensus. Maybe it works better. Yeah. So if people like it, then it kind of just spreads and automatically solves the problem without us having to tell people, "Oh, be a good person, do this, do that, don't do that." It's much more. Yeah. It makes our jobs also much easier. We don't have to and because wherever I travel, people complain about, "Oh, I don't have enough money." It's one of the pain points that I hear all the time, and I just want that. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Not yet, no.
Okay. All right.
So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is a set of things. Like the first thing is the one thing that I can see is if Actiom did everything in society that money does now, then.
So, sorry to interrupt you. Actiom does not do what money does.
I know. But I'm saying if it did.
Okay.
If it did.
If it did. Okay.
And if we were giving everybody some, and then you could use it to like buy food and clothes.
Okay.
Then I think it would have this powerful transformative effect of forcing everybody to sort of recognize that everybody's time is equal. So it would be in that sense like a universal basic income. Right? It's like in recognition of the fact that you're alive. We're giving you something, and you can use that to buy food. So that means, if you have somebody anywhere, they could be anywhere in the world, and they're working in, some terrible situation, trying to stay alive. Then we're saying, you don't have to do that anymore because we're just going to give you some. That's extremely powerful. So, and that's why I think so many people are excited about universal basic income, because it's like, we have this, we're automating everything and we're taking away jobs, and we can see that in the future, it's like it's getting us simpler and simpler for us to make enough food, make enough, clothes, make stuff, the things that everybody needs. It's like we can do all of that cheaper and cheaper with technology. But because it's cheaper and cheaper, it's like there's fewer and fewer people that we need to pay money to do all of that stuff, so nobody has any work. So people that are just born with nothing, they don't have any way to go into society and do work and contribute something to make food, because we already have enough food, but they can't get any because they don't have any money. So we have this problem, which is we have this system based on everybody having to work all the time in order to just for society to continue. And now it's getting to the point where it's like society can continue with just a few people working, and at the same time it's getting harder and harder for people that don't have anything to do, because within that system they have no way of getting money, and so they have no way of getting any of that stuff. Even though it's getting cheaper and cheaper for us to make, it's getting harder and harder for people to acquire it. So that's this huge problem that like society is facing, and that everybody is looking at that and saying, how are we going to deal with that? So that's how I'm kind of looking at this project, like how does this fit in that area? And then you're talking about something that to me is much more abstract, which is people who are already comfortable, like you and I. We can use this sort of token to to record our or gratitude for something. And that's something that, to me, it's like, yes, I can see how I might want to do that. But to me, it's like a Facebook, like upvote, something like that. It's like, it doesn't have a big impact on society.
Yeah.
Now the data is useful. So, and there are things that I would like a bookmarking system. So like if I could just go back over the whole life and see like everything that I had ever, bookmarked, everything that I have ever upvoted, it would be like a record of my own interests in my life. So that would be something that would be, valuable to me. But not hugely valuable because I have other ways of doing that. So I wouldn't like pay a lot of money, or I wouldn't do anything like really hard or go to a lot of extra work to participate in that kind of system. But if it was easy, I would do it.
Yeah.
So what I see here is like we have this opportunity to make something that maybe it gives people like a small benefit, but it has to be easy to use.
Yeah.
And then the question that I'm trying to really solve here is, how is the project going to make money? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay.
So if we're giving something to somebody that it's like, you could have this, but you're probably not going to pay a lot for it. Yeah. And if you ask people to pay for it, even anything, they will probably say, nobody uses this. Yeah. I've never heard of it. If it was free, maybe I would think about it. But if I have to pay for it, then I will say no. So, and then we have this data, which we can't really use to make money because it's public. So I like the idea of having this data. I love the idea of having this. I mean, I love the idea of having like a shared system where people are recording their preferences, recording the things that were meaningful to them, and having this not be, in the clutches of Facebook, not be owned by anybody, but having this be out there public, and anybody can use it, anybody can access it, anybody can mine it, anybody can, test whatever crazy hypothesis they have. They don't have to ask permission or anybody. The data's just there, and anybody can go for it. That's great. But how are we going to pay for it? How is the project going to make money? So that's the big problem. Okay. So I don't see the answer to that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. All right. So here's okay. How can I put this? There's so many things like happening at the same time. It's like quantum mechanics, all these potentials that exist in my head, trying to get it out. So that it's like spin up, spin down. Do I toss spin up or spin down first? But, so
you split the universe into two, and one one is spin up, one is spin down. You do both. I will try to split my consciousness and follow both of you.
Yeah, it's oh man. That's nice. Philosophy is interesting. Okay, so yeah, I've noticed. So I'm trying to fill different roles, and for a long time I've been filling this role called oracle, or founder, or this ideal sage or whatever, and that's really difficult to move away from and really become like a salesperson, because really to answer your question, I have to practice more in the marketing area, to tell people why it's relevant. Okay, so the brutal, true, honest answer is that it depends. It depends how we make the product. It's when people start to make things, they only know how it's going to work like 3 months from now, how the revenue is going to work 3 months from now. 3 years from now, it's a multivariable problem, multivariable chaotic system that I can't predict. And I can throw out some assumptions on how we can generate revenue, but I have no, I can't say they will definitely work.
Okay.
So at the beginning, we can generate revenue, and it's not saying the revenue that we generate at the beginning will cover our cost, but this is how we generate revenue. We'll make a prototype that's really easy to use, that I feel like, this is the good starting point, and it will likely outcompete all the other projects that's trying to do something very similar, because we do everything right. So the first revenue, albeit very infinitesimal, will come from me. I'll use it to upvote my mom or my dad, just to try how it works. And I have to spend some ETH, but that's acceptable. It's like sending a thank you card that persists through time and human civilization. That will last forever. And when I'm dead, my grandchildren say, oh, that guy actually upvoted his mom at this particular time. That's really interesting. We can interpolate and we can rebuild his history, as if he is still alive. So that to me is super awesome, super cool. And I'm more like a geekish person, so that's what triggers that's my cup of tea. I don't know, for someone, for you, how you would use it. Maybe you really like something that you feel compelled to spend that tiny amount of ETH to use it. And that's our initial user. Actually, the early adopters, they are happy to spend some money to use the product. It's like when Tesla made its Model X, actually it wasn't cheap. Rich people, they use it because they really believe in the future of electric vehicle, the same way that those people that use Actiom will have to kind of believe what it will do in the future. Otherwise, it's just another product. So yeah, that's the people we have to reach out. And if they use it, we will generate some revenue, but it doesn't guarantee it will cover our cost, right? So, and if we assume the first chain of reaction works, the first link of the chain of reaction works, then we'll likely we'll mature the product a little bit and make it easier to use, and then we'll talk to platforms. Because right now, on Ethereum, people are building applications like crazy. No one is really focusing on the user, but in the end, it's the user that really counts. So it's, Actiom is made for the user. It's designed for the user. It's not built as a platform, to capture money, to generate revenue. So it's through usage and through user that it will succeed. So later on, if we incorporate this action mark into, say, Singular DTV, a media platform, what can happen is that if people start to see the value of action, then celebrities, they do marketing campaigns, right? They promote themselves, they promote their films. So they will use Actiom as a gauge to measure their fame level or whatever they do. I don't know, depending on their calculation algorithm for their fame level. So what they will do, they will likely set aside a marketing budget that says, you can upvote me with Actiom for free because I cover your cost too. When you use action on the Singular DTV platform to upvote me. So on these platforms, people will be able to use it for free. And that the cost issue kind of goes away. But that I don't even know whether that step will come. So it's just a possible scenario. So that's like the mid game. So we're playing a game here, and the late game. So what will happen in the late game is that we have a lot of traction, and many people start to use Actiom, and then it will become apparent that the resource, it will start to reallocate itself. Because how do we earn Actiom marks the easiest, right? So it's likely easiest to earn Actiom marks from those people that have nothing, like homeless people, because to them, Actiom mark doesn't value anything. It's food is more important, shelter is more important. They will happily give away their Actiom mark for very little money, very little shelter. But to the rich people, to those people that are more successful, they want to strive for more, they want to challenge themselves to go to new heights. They want to collect more Actiom marks, and the best way to do that is to help those people that are desperately in need of help. And that's how wealth will naturally flow into the poor. So and that's how Actiom marks will flow from the poor to the people that really want to strive. And that's how kind of it's like equalizing the system. it's an assumption many things can happen during this process. Maybe some other people will be inspired by what we do, and they will come up with a better system, or maybe there are many copycats, and we lost our track. Anything can happen. I can't guarantee that we'll see the end stage, but that's kind of.
Yeah. Okay. So I like the idea of the end stage. I have a question about the getting there. So yeah. So the end stage, the assumption of the end stage is that people value Actiom marks. So that people who are actually people who have money will spend some of their money and go out and give things to the poor and destitute because they get the reward of Actiom, and then other people see that and it makes them feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
So for that to happen, it already has to be, like you said, it already has to have a lot of traction. It has to be very popular. People have to be looking at it, like Woofy in that short story, where people are like they see you and immediately they see like a score above your head, so they know. So if it gets to that level, then it's going to have a tremendous effect on society. And hopefully we got it right. But what I'm interested in is more like the middle section. So when you're talking about singular DTV, so what is their benefit to adopting this platform? They already have an upload system. Why would they? Okay.
So, I need to talk to them again because basically we need to resolve some stuff. But suppose they use it. Suppose they. Actually, I reached to them very early. I reached to them 2 years ago, but I couldn't code, so I couldn't make the prototype. But the film industry, many people watch torrented films, right? And that's a huge loss in terms of revenue for the film industry. And it will be no different. Singular DTV, even though it's a blockchain company, they will face the same problem. So. It's because people believe they want to see those films for free, but in a way, Actiom will help these platforms to capture value they can't capture with money, because when people watch a film, they don't pay for it, but they still like it, like the movie they see. How do they reward the people that made it possible for them to watch the movie? They had to think about the actors, the directors, the producers, the platform, everything, the internet, or even the government itself. So even when they feel some kind of level of appreciation, they want to kind of reward these people. And the only way to do it right now is, send them some money or think about them and really, these people are great. God, please reward these people. That's the only two way at the moment. And the second way, I'm not sure whether it works. It probably does, through karma and through cause and effect. And I think it's a wonderful system because it's very subtle. It takes a lot of practice to really see it coming. But the first system, we already have it, but it doesn't work because those people, they didn't want to pay anything. So when I was in school, I had the opportunity to watch a lot of great movies, but I didn't pay anything for them. Oh man, that. In a way, it's good because if we charge people to pay for these movies, then students, they won't be able to appreciate the really quality stuff, and they don't have the chance to grow, right? So how do we help people to watch these fine arts and also capture some value? And that's where Actiom comes in. That's the only way I see, for people to upload things they like, and that gives reward people. So. Yeah.
So I understand how the value of that is represented by the Actiom, but from the other side, you have to think of the evil empire of the Motion Picture Association of America, and these people that are suing those college students right now. So
I just gave a confession. Oh God.
Yes. If you put this on YouTube, they're gonna come after you.
Oh man.
So.
Oh gosh.
No, I didn't pirate those movies. Other people. I was just there. I was there.
I was just watching those. Whatever. Oh, gosh.
So from their perspective, they're looking at this like, you know, all these people are stealing our, you know, our movies, and we're not getting any money from it. So if you come to them and you say, well, you know, we can give you, instead of money, this other thing, they're going to look at that and say, yeah. What?
Yeah.
So I think in an industry like that, where you know, it's like their argument is, yeah, you know, it takes money to make these movies, and we feel like we are still thinking in the old system where it's like we have copyright, and that means that we are, you know, legally allowed to limit the distribution of these works of art.
Yeah.
So you know, within that system, like we don't need a new system, we don't need a new way. And then if we are offering them, even new content creators, we're saying, you know, we'll give you this thing, but then it's something that you can't use to do anything else unless there is a way that you can use it to do something else, or unless there is some system around it that sort of gives you something for it, and unless it has some value. So I mean, if it has some sort of like value in terms of reputation, or in terms of credit, or in terms of, you know, some sort of like organization that we build up around it somehow, that people will like, you know, work with you, or give you things or something as a result of you having you know, a high score, then people will say, okay, I can see that, you know, maybe I'm losing some money, but I'm getting something else that is better than nothing. But if we tell people, oh, you know, you're not going to get any money for your movie, you're going to get some good feelings, then it's a hard sell. It's a hard sell.
Yeah, it is. It will be a hard sell if that happens.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think what I'm coming to the conclusion is, as far as revenue, like we don't really have an idea yet. So it's sort of like we can build this, and people can use this to sort of record their preferences and the things that they like. And then we have the idea that maybe as we are working on it, as we're developing it, as people are getting involved, maybe there will be an opportunity for the company to make money from it somehow, but we don't know what that is yet.
Yes, it depends on how many people use it, how frequently they use it, how much money we get from each transaction, and our operating costs. So
yes, I mean, if we are getting some money from the transactions themselves, then that is something.
Yeah, we will from the very first transaction.
Yeah.
It will be small. It's like, it's probably going to be like exponential growth, and the cost will be kind of linear. So it's when the intersect.
Yeah. Okay, so that's okay. Then that's.
Yeah, but you know, I don't know how long that's gonna take. That's always the problem it's always the pressure, you know, for people doing projects like this. Hey, I think it's hopeful, because if we build it really well, I can probably get more money. So it's all sales. If we can sell to ourselves, then we have a higher chance to sell to someone else, and people get on board. And money will no longer be the issue, because money is really a measurement of how people want something. So if you like it, just
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if there is, even if it is something like taking a little bit out of every transaction, or out of every new sign up, or something, however it works, if there is something like that, then that gives us a way. If it looks like it can cost, that gives us a way to motivate people to invest, other than just out of feelings of warmth in the hearts.
We can actually also ask for charity, because it's tied to charity. So there are many ways to support this.
Yeah.
I'm just quite obsessive on the product quality. So it's a very So and that's why I think you'll be perfect, because you're also pretty obsessive on the product quality. So.
I'm obsessed about a lot of things. Yeah. But, one of them is about like building a business, like figuring out where revenue is going to come in. So my obsessiveness sometimes about the product has to match my obsessiveness about like getting something as quickly as possible and learning from it. So so I'm always going to be the one pushing. Like, let's get it done.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Well, those were the main questions that I had for today. So I feel like that was helpful.
Okay. I'm not a facilitator. I need to chill. I was going to say something.
So if there's nothing else, then I think that's it.
Oh, I have one more thing. Can I just mention it?
Oh
yeah, I already mentioned the tools, so I'm gonna keep everything super organized, and so there should be no problem. People can laugh about our conversation today in the future. And another thing is I've been following this project called the Kasha project. It's a Ethereum project, and let me just it's in our Google. It's the second agenda item. So I've checked them out, and it seems that they have this scoring system called Mana. Let me just share my screen real quick. Oh yeah, yes. It looks like they have their own reputation system called Mana Essence. I don't know how they work, by the way. There's some kind of, and also Karma. So yeah, I mean, every platform has its own reputation system. They are still, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, because I don't know them super well, I think everyone's still trying to build a reputation system to suit each platform, and that so it's there are many reputation systems out there, and I actually like their interface. Just very neat. Maybe we can go talk to them once Actiom gains some users and traction, because platforms, they will be happy to get more users.
What is their business? Do they do anything besides this?
I think they're building a decentralized social media platform. So
okay.
Yep.
I see. Okay.
But right now we use MetaMask. It's like an identity solution to log on these platforms. So maybe that's something that will be relevant to the Yoda role. I'm just throwing out there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's it for me.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Well, I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. See you tomorrow.